All right. What's up, everybody? I hope you all are doing well. Um, Today, we got probably not too long of a stream. I'm just going to be sharing a flow chart that I made a little bit ago about the Maximus Dao contract, and an idea I had on how it could potentially be used for charities, crowdfunding, and so yeah, that's what I'm going to be sharing with you guys tonight. I'm gonna give it a little bit of time before I start to let people hop in, and we also have a special guest today. We have Max. What's up, Max? How's it going?
Hey, how's it going to you, sir?
Yeah, dude, it's going all right. Thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. It's always nice to have people to talk about whatever we're talking about on stream. So I appreciate you taking some time to hang out with me and everybody on stream tonight.
Of course, glad to be here. Sounds like a fun Maximus talk, and yeah, excited to hear what you got to say about the charity.
hmm Um, I don't know if many people here know who you are. You're kind of a newcomer on the Hex streamer circuit. So why don't you give just a brief introduction to who you are, kind of some of your plans going forward, so they can find you where they need to find you.
Yeah, so I'm Max, also known as the Richard Hart Maximalist, RH Maximalist on Twitter. Um, been around, lurking in the shadows for years now. Been following Richard since early 2017. Day day negative zero, hexagon, whatever you like to call it, pulse hexagon, all that good stuff. Um, yeah, love the Richard Hart ecosystem. I was telling Crypto Sloth that I just created a channel so I can do some in-depth interviews with other people from the community about stuff they're working on as well. So hopefully get that going in the next few days with my first guest, someone who I've promised I would let them be my first guest because they've been pretty good to me lately. And yeah, I'm into all things Richard Hart. Security is my day job, so any privacy related, security related, there is a distinction between the two. Questions, feel free to hit me up. And yeah, I've got a blog, rhmax.org/blog, rhmax, where I talk about sci-vive, I talk about different security related topics, different community projects, glory, and why Richard has entered the space and is kicking as much ass as he is now. So yeah, that's what I hope to do. Just learn, grow, and have some fun with everybody.
Yeah, thank you for that introduction, man. I could say personally, I went and read his blog. I just kind of randomly found him on Twitter, and I was very impressed by just the way he was able to break down a lot of the first principle ideas that are happening kind of in the Hex ecosystem, formulate the different arguments and opinions specifically around some of the Hadron controversy that was going around. So, if you get a chance, go read some of his stuff. It's great stuff. I'll definitely be continuing to start skim and read a lot of his content. But let's see who we got in the chat. QT Crypto, great to see you. Hex Factor, thanks for showing up, and Mango Junkie, glad to have you in here tonight. All right, so let's see. Got my slides. Let's go ahead. And jump into the content. Let me get that started. There we go. And there we go. All right. So, kind of as what I said before when we started the stream, I'm going to be talking about just an idea that I had previously about a potential use case for the Maximus DAO contract. First, congratulations to both Dipcatcher and Gold Key. They had a wildly successful mint phase where I think over 200 million hex got locked up for 15 years. And the equivalent amount of Maxi has been minted because of that. And so I think that really shows kind of where the community is at in terms of their endorsement of this protocol. I personally did mint a small amount of Maxi, and I'm really excited to see how this protocol ages over time over this 15 years. There's
So
a lot to
like
talk about with
50
Max.
million worth of maxi in that.
Yeah, yeah, a whole lot. Um,
Like one of the biggest
which is
stakes I
which was
remember seeing on Staker app, and it was like
mhm,
anyone in maxi is part of the huge stake now.
mhm.
It's just amazing.
No, it is incredible, and I was kind of in the Telegram chats before it they made a lot of stuff public, and it's cool to see it be so successful. And I mean, it is a success now because it's locked in. The stake's done. The coins are out there. There's no changing it. So it's going to be really cool to see how the price of Maxi does relative to the valuation of the treasury, both in terms of the hex accumulated and the hadron accumulated. But
and see who
that's
can
not
hang
what
on
we're here
to
to.
it. Who's going to have Maxi in
Yeah,
15 years, and who's going to be trading it for the next 15
exactly.
years?
Exactly. There's a lot of strategies now that Maxi exists in terms of are you going to DCA into Maxi versus Liquid Hex? Is it better to hold Maxi over Liquid Hex? These are some good conversations that I actually hope to have in the future on my channel. But I still have to think them through a little bit more. One sec. But that's not what we're going to be talking about today. Today, we're talking about something a little bit different, a little bit more niche, something that's not so set in stone, but something I feel is important to bring to the community. If anybody was watched Hexray Vision's stream a couple hours ago, I talked about how the importance of starting to shift our mindset a little bit on utilizing some of these protocols that are available to us, both that have been created and that haven't been created, to achieve some of the philanthropic goals and the positive changes that a lot of hexagons want to see happen. How to bring them to fruition utilizing these decentralized protocols that are being created and that will be created. We got another guest joining us, Craig. How are you doing? Welcome to the stream. Glad to have you.
Hey, what's up, man?
Yeah.
Sorry I couldn't
Hey,
give
Craig.
you a positive yes or no. Hey, Max, what's up, man? I saw you on SJ's thing last week. It's good to see you.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
That's
Yep.
talking sci-fi. Love it.
And we're just talking a little bit of Maxi tonight. Let's see. Where was I? Yeah, so the main goal of this presentation isn't necessarily to push this specific scheme of how to crowdfund in a decentralized manner, but rather to start shifting our attention and our mindset to find other ways that may be similar or dissimilar to this on how we can use these protocols to enact some kind of change in the world, the positive change that is central to the Hexagon ethos. So first, for anybody in here who may not be familiar with Maximus already, really quickly, it's just a pooled stake protocol where you threw in your hex during the minting phase, and for every hex you put in, you got a maxi token. Now that the minting phase is over, the contract did a max stake length, 5555, and that's it. Once the stake is over, the contract will end stake it, or somebody will be able to call the end stake function, and then all of the rewards as well as the principal will be put into the treasury, and then each maxi that you have is going to be redeemable for the same proportion. Yeah, it was proportionally redeemable in relative to how much maxi there is. So each maxi is entitled to an equal percentage of the entire stake in the contract once it's over. And then that's just what this represents. During the minting phase, one maxi got you one hex. But then at the end of it, one maxi will get you however many hex is accumulated over time, as well as the hadron. They added a hadron feature.
Just to be clear on so what you can do with Maxi from now until the next 15 years is trade it, hold it, whatever you want to do there, and then at the end you can trade it in for that, like you get a percentage or something of what's been all the bonuses, all the stuff based on your proportion that you traded, that your hex basically equals to, which is obviously going to be much bigger. So in the next 15 years, it's basically a token that you can hodl or trade. Is that right?
Yep, that's exactly right. And the way I like to think of it is each maxi, what Maximus DAO does is gives a hex stake the properties of an ERC20. So now you can own part of a stake while also getting the exposure to all of the functionality a ERC20 has. Send, receive, as well as liquidity providing. And in the future, I'll be talking about how Maximus may be a really good LP pairing with Hex, just because it's a derivative of a Hex stake, and theoretically it might move proportionally with the price of Hex. Yeah, go ahead.
I think it's really cool that hear people talking about sacrificed in a pool for Pulse, sacrificed in a pool for Pulse X. Now these are trusted pools; they're not trustless pools. That's what's so cool about Maxi is that the contract guarantees your percentages. You don't have to go to anybody of your friends or acquaintances or whatever later and be like, hey, you know, there's a where's my percentage, or who's going to split it? Is there going to be someone holding the money? Is there going to be something in escrow? Is there a contract? You don't have to worry about any of that. You have a smart contract, which assuming the audits are good, which everything looked good on that part from all I've heard, you don't have to worry about anything. So trustless staking pool, phenomenal, and a phenomenal application of it for Hex here.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. And another cool thing is because when you stake your Hex, the Hex is burnt, so it doesn't exist anywhere from the time the stake was made until it ends. There is no like contract risk with like that Hex being stolen for some kind of bug, because that Hex just simply doesn't exist, which I think is pretty cool. But yeah, so that's what Maximus is, and here is my flowchart on how it could potentially be used. Let me see. Can you guys see that clearly? Can you read that at all?
Just one more point too on the burn. So that's something a lot of new Hexkins may not know, is that when you stake Hex, there is no DAO, there is no person holding it. It is burned and removed. And then when your stake ends or emergency instinct or whatever it is created back from thin air. So that has interesting tax implications, perhaps. It has interesting, that's why there's the good accounting feature and all that stuff too. But that still a lot of new Hexkins, they don't even know. I don't even know if it's actually out there, a technical diagram that shows exactly how Hex works, at least not one that a lot of people have seen. So, I think a lot of people early on think, oh, the system, the contract holding my Hex. No, it's not. It's burning it and then minting you what it owes you. So just wanted to put that out there. I don't think a lot of people quite understand how Hex works in that way.
Yeah, I learned about that through basically a stream. So thanks for emphasizing that point. But yeah, here is the flowchart that I made that outlines the potential use case Maximus could have in regards to decentralized crowdfunding. So say you have some kind of charity here, and the goal of the charity, or the charity wants to raise some funds. The typical way that it's done is through direct donations. However, maybe the charity might want to use this Maximus contract to further incentivize people to put up funds, because normally when you're donating to some kind of charity, all of the money just goes directly to the charity, which is fine. However, it may be beneficial to have this contract be used to provide financial incentive for people to donate, because now not only are you donating to the charity, but you're also getting exposure to a Quattro Cinco Hex stake through your donation. So the charity would advertise this max stake length, this Maximus contract kind of minting phase, and the donors could directly donate to the charity if they wanted to in ETH, USDC, Hex, whatever mode that they want. But there would also be a potential for them to mint directly through the contract. Now, when they do mint through the contract, there would actually be a tax where some of that Hex would go directly to the charity, and then the rest would be put into the Maximus DAO contract. The charity, from the donations that they get, as well as the Hex that they get from the tax, they have the option to either use those funds, those liquid funds, to fuel their personal goals, whatever their specific desires are, or they could choose to take that Hex and then stake it through the contract. Once the minting phase is over, everybody who donated that got taxed would get their Maximus from that, and the charity would also get liquid Maxi from their from the Hex that they got from their donors, or if they took these direct donations and then bought hex with it, put it in the contract. So now the charity has Maxi, and the donors have Maxi. And so once that happens, there are a couple options, a couple things that could happen from there. First, the 555 stake ends. And when it ends, both the charity and the donors get their proportions of the stake. So now the charity has made more money in order to fund whatever projects they want, as well as the donors got some benefit from their donation because now presumably the stake is worth more, both in terms of hex, hedron, and price appreciation. Say the charity needs some liquidity for whatever reason. Well, even though they took those donations given to them by their donors from the tax, that Maximus is still liquid. And they're able to sell that on the market to, again, fund whatever goals they may or may not want to, whatever goals they have, whatever projects to help them achieve their goals. So the charity sells their Maxi. Now, normally when we think about some entity dumping coins on the market, this is a bad thing because they're lowering the price. However, in this case, it's a little different because each token represents a share of this hex stake. So the people who are buying this token, or if the price goes down, are getting a discount on a really great asset. So even though the charity needs liquidity and has to push the price of this token down, that still just benefits the donors or just the greater public crypto community in general. And then finally, the charity can provide some liquidity with these direct donations from the Maxi. Maybe they pair it with some of the hex, and that can be an income generating asset for the charity to, again, fund whatever projects they need to fund. And then the last one that I thought of later, or that I heard somebody recommend later, I didn't add on here, is that the liquidity pools for the Maximus token for this specific crowdfunding, those fees could also be taxed. So anybody who wanted to provide liquidity with the Maximus token that was given through this minting contract could provide liquidity for it, and then they would forego some of their income to go directly to this charitable organization, again, giving them more funds. So yeah, that is the entire kind of system. And so just a couple points on why would people do this. And one of the main reasons, like with any kind of crypto fundraising, it's decentralized fundraising. There is no middleman. It is just you and the contract. The tax goes through whenever somebody decides to mint, and there is no middleman, as well as it being fully transparent on the blockchain. So there's less room for embezzlement and whatnot. Real quick, we got a really special guest for this topic, Dipcatcher. How's it going, man?
Hey, how's it going, guys? Thanks for
Hey,
having me.
glad to have you. Yeah,
Hey,
of course.
Dipcatcher.
Yeah, I'm glad to have. I appreciate you coming on and giving your expertise on this topic. And I'm actually really interested to hear your thoughts on it. Yeah. But let's see. Last 3 points. Yeah, financial incentive to contribute to social causes. And what I really like about this point is that when people look to give money to charitable organizations, it's usually a specific portion of their portfolio, a specific percentage set aside for charitable donations. With this contract, we can start to get funds that normally might go in the investment side of somebody's portfolio, because not only are they making a donation, but they're getting an asset that has a large potential to appreciate in price down the road as well. So we're opening the pool of liquidity, you could say, for where people would be willing to donate their money from. Finally,
I wonder if the
Hexicans...
percentages.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I just had a question on the percentages. So the tax, so the donation, the big portion of it goes to the charity, and then like a smaller portion goes to the person who donated. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah. So say if the tax is like 50% and they donated 10,000 hex, or they tried to mint with 10,000 hex, 5,000 of that would go directly to the charity in the form of hex or in the form of Maxi, whichever one. And then the other 5,000 would be received by the donor, essentially.
I wonder if there was a way to make that. Yeah, I just wonder if there's a way to make that configurable, like by the user? Like, could they choose 50-50? Could they choose 70-30? Or is there a way to make it where, for example, you could cover, so I assume you could get it in a lot of tax jurisdictions, you could get a tax write-off for donating as well.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if the percentage the person who donates gets back could equal the tax write-off. That way you would never have to turn in any gains because the contract would already covered it, and you still get to keep the collateral from there and let it appreciate. So it's just an idea.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. And all of this is very flexible. It's just kind of a rough sketch, and then because none of this code actually exists, it's all completely fungible to however people want to create it in the future, with whatever iteration of the contract is happening at the time. Thank you for that point. That's a good. I didn't think about that. That's a good idea.
That's the thing that always makes a little bit of friction. Is like, hey, now I got, I claimed the airdrop. Now I got, now maybe I got to report taxes on it or whatever, depending on the situation. So if it was a contract where it was set up in a way, it's like, nope, we already know the percentages. We're already going to cover it. You don't have to do anything. It's as simple as you giving us money, and but you do get something back that could be worth something in the future. So I think that's really cool.
That's a great idea.
Hey guys, I don't mean to interrupt, but just so you know, it looks like Hex Token sent his streaming group over.
Oh wow! Well, hey, thank you so much.
Told him to come and join.
I appreciate that, Hex Token. Thank you so much. Yeah, welcome any newcomers. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight. I appreciate it. All right.
So I missed the first half of whatever you guys were talking about.
Okay.
So could you give me kind of like the quick rundown on what your idea is?
Yeah. I'll just go back to the diagram again. So basically,
I remember
what this is.
Okay.
Yeah. You want me to go over it really quickly for you?
Yeah. That'd be helpful.
Yeah. So essentially, the way this would work is you would have donors, and you would have a charity, and donors would have two options to give to the charity: either a direct donation, or stake, or a minting through the Maximus Dao contract. If they gave directly, that's perfectly fine. The charity gets 100% of the donations, and maybe they have some kind of deal where they're like 50% is going to go in the contract no matter what. But for any tokens they want to mint directly, there would be some kind of tax on that, where it would be split between both the charity as well as the token that would be received by the donor after the minting function is run. And so this is basically just an incentive model to get people to donate to a charity while also obtaining some kind of asset in return. And then once the minting phase is over, the maxi would get distributed both to the charity, whatever they contributed, and then the donors for whatever they contributed minus their tax. And then so once this happens and the stake goes on, basically once the stake ends, the charity and the donators get their proportion of the stake as per the contract rules. And so both the donors get more liquidity, the donors get liquidity and the charity gets liquidity over that 15 years. And then so the charity obviously has more funds to accomplish their goals. Say during that 15 years, the charity needs liquidity for whatever reason, they can actually sell their maxi token. And normally when we think of an organization selling a large percentage of the tokens on the market, that's a bad thing. But with Maxi, what they're doing is giving a discount to the public to get a better deal for when the max stake is over. So the charity gets liquidity and the public gets a deal. It's kind of a win-win. And then finally, the charity can provide liquidity with these maxi tokens, maybe pairing it with some of the hex that they got through the tax, whatever it might be, just another avenue for income generation. And then one I didn't put on here was that maybe there could be a tax on the LP rewards with this token, where people who LP in this pool would forego some of their rewards, and then that would be used for the charity to get more liquidity.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have a charity in mind that you're thinking of, or some cause that?
Nope.
That you,
this is nope.
Kind of like a general structure for how you could kind of fund some effort like that.
Yep. This is just. Yeah. Go ahead.
That's pretty cool. I've thought of something similar to this, kind of like, but not so much for like a charitable donation, but rather like a way for a government to levy a tax where the where like the budget is set by like however much income can be earned from like a stake that is co-owned by the governing body and like the citizens. And so where you pay tax in hex, that all gets staked in some type of ladder, and then like say 80% of the yield from that stake is like part of the budget. 20% is kind of kicked back, kind of like a tax refund, and then maybe you decide on what the principal do you like roll forward, and what percent of the principal goes into the budget. So something where you put in tax, you pay your tax, but then over time your tax kind of like gets refunded to you by means of the interest that what you contributed put in there. So maybe in like a charitable use case, that could be where that charity's budget is the income that they get from their stake. So in this case, it would just be Maxi, where you don't even need to like collect the hex yield. You can just like put that Maxi on a schedule where say charity raised funds in Maxi, and then every quarter they may need to like break off part of it and sell it, but then at the end they refund, they give back to the donors either unused portion or something like that, to where like it's like the yield that's the one making the donation, and it doesn't necessarily feel like it's coming out of your own pocket. And it kind of puts a kind of gives like a structure to a like the budget that charity needs to fit into. And so I think that's a really cool idea.
Yeah, and those kind of thoughts and sorry, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, Max.
No, I just want to say, I think to Dipcatcher's point, I think you've created this, it's almost like a founder's fee generic system, where you replace the founder with charity, replace founder with organization, you replace founder with government. It's this like way to distribute a tax in whatever way to fuel, incentive, align the different structures out there with whatever is created and benefiting by it and the people who are using the system. So charity is a great example for it, but it's very cool.
Yeah, it could even be like a business could like operate its own budget and raise money for itself by having this type of like organizing a pooled stake, and then have some benefit to people who join, and use some of that income as like operating a budget, and then it's like
my first thought was corporation.
Yeah,
corporation, even stock too.
Exactly. No, and these are actually ideas and conversations was my exact goal of when I developed this kind of flow chart, to kind of get people thinking about the possibilities, in this case specifically with this contract, on how we can use Hex to form communities, to fundraise in a decentralized manner, and then from there, it's just we can create whatever we want from the ideas that we generate. And this is kind of just a catalyst to begin those kind of conversations. And so I see in the chat a lot of people asking kind of
reduce cell pressure on Hex as well. So any projects that's built in reduction of cell pressure, such as Maxi, such as this type of system, is a winner in my book.
And I forgot to mention this, but Dipcatcher, congratulations on a successful minting phase and having the stake start, man. This is awesome to see so much Maxi minted and such a large stake being made. That was awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that was a hell of a ride, that 2-week period. Every day waking up like, am I gonna like look at my phone and see someone like, hey, what happened to all the money? Like, if there's something, I just crazy paranoia, like conspiracy theory that the auditors were gonna like steal from the like I literally was painting all these imaginary horrible
scam
in my mind.
It's like when your boss sends you to the bank to make the night drop or something, you're like, please God, don't let me get robbed. It's not my money.
Yeah, it's literally like that. I
was
like reading the contract for a robber. That's pretty funny. But yeah,
here's the question for you. What was more exciting? Watch so much Hex being locked up in your contract, or watching Hex go up to 56 cents? Which one was more exciting for you?
I'd say that the both were exciting. I'd say that was how I knew that the top was almost in, was when I felt compelled to make a T-shirt with the price chart. I was like, all right, it must be like this feeling that I have inside my, inside my soul, where I'm literally making the T-shirt. I'm like, all right, maybe this is where we cool off for a couple of years. So that was exciting, but I'd say that this was more exciting because it was something, like I wasn't the one pushing the price to 56 cents. Maybe some of my educational content helped buyers that were kind of getting there, but
you are now.
Whereas
indirectly.
yeah. So the Maximus contract feels a lot more personal, like a personal achievement, and so that I would say doing this.
That's awesome, man. So here's a question for you. From a technical perspective, how would something like this be implemented?
Like like what you're describing, like yeah, I mean, it could really operate really with any coin, just like the structure of, you have like a pooled treasury that, maybe there's, there's like one, group that can, pull like from that treasury at like a certain rate. And so, it could operate as a smart contract, but because you like also, at the same time, when you're bridging into like the real world, and like you're relying on like that real world person to perform some task, you can actually like reduce a lot of the risk that you need. So like you don't necessarily need for like it to be fully trustless. Like if the end result is that like you're giving funds directly to somebody, and they're spending it off chain, that actually really reduces the need for like full trustlessness. That actually makes it a lot easier technically to build, because you can where, you could have admin, in that system, if like the whole point is like charitable giving, you can probably have an admin key in there, and like, because you're already trusting the person who's getting the money, you're already, so you're already trusting them at all. And so you can give them a little bit more trust. And so that, things like that, could make it easier, but, it all depends on like, who is the audience, like who are the people that you want to be participating. And if those people care about things like not having admin keys, then, you probably want to, build a, smart contract that can do that. And then as far as, like the contracts work, like Solidity, it just kind of works, like you'd have to know how to write that type of contract, and but it's very extensive. Like you can do anything with it. And so it could be like a Solidity smart contract where that facilitates the like raising of the funds and then the disbursement, or it could even just be where you're the one that people are sending their funds to, and then you just manage the spreadsheet with the the schedule for how to give it out. If they're trusting someone, maybe they'll trust the organizer. And so, there's kind of like, it all depends on really what the audience, really demands of it, like just how trusted you need it to be.
Gotcha.
But that's kind of what I see.
That makes sense. And actually, I hadn't thought about that, the granularity of the trustlessness that might be needed for something like this. Because if you're already making concessions by giving your money to a centralized entity, there's no reason to not give them more of those permissions, I guess you could say, because you're already giving them that just by giving them money. That makes sense.
Yeah. And maybe if it's a lot of money, that you want them to not, use all at once, then maybe you just have like monthly donation, like a monthly donation thing where like, say you're allocating like $1 million that you're giving, you don't need to give it all right there. You can, first month do 100K, and then, kind of, where even if there was something that went wrong and the person, breached that trust, you didn't they didn't run off with all the money that they could have. And so, it's just all like that. That's kind of what it all is just like a balance of like how much you can trust the operator and how much you need to trust them. And then, then you just kind of come up with solutions to, just help the like amount of trust match
Mhm.
the just like amount of like money that's needed to
Yeah.
do whatever you're trying to do. So that's what I would think about, in trying to figure out how to build that.
Makes sense. Yeah. Another thing I liked about this is that, at the end of the donation, or whether it be for a corporation or a government, you actually have this tangible thing, this token that represents kind of your part in the group. So it kind of taps into that tribalistic tendency that we all have. And in that way, we have this thing that shows that, yes, I am part of this group. I am part of this cause or this nation, this company, whatever it might be, which could further, it could increase the stickiness of it, which more people pay attention to whatever people want to, whatever the contract is pushing people's attention to, the more likely its goals will be completed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And people, they love that little participation medal.
Yeah.
People do like that.
Gladiators.
Yeah. Yeah, we need to make like an NFT or something for all the maxi minters.
Yeah.
I got
my
mine.
NFT of the stake, pending stake. That would be,
that would be cool.
Amazing.
Cool.
I just still can't believe seeing that. It's crazy.
I'll say the participation trophies. I've got a bunch of them in my wallet. I'm looking at them right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was
Are they
all that I
Benjamins
had.
or are they Washingtons?
I don't know. They got big M's on them. What's that?
Oh, I thought you were talking about like in your crypto wallet, like shit coins that didn't work.
Oh, yeah, that's what I thought too.
No, I meant I minted Maximus. I meant I have all my.
Oh, gotcha.
I have all my Maximus participation.
I thought
trophies.
the same thing. Just a bunch of shit coins sitting there. It's like, well, I participated at the very.
Oh yeah, no,
never mind.
No, I'm a community member.
Yeah.
Everything I ever had that wasn't Hex or related is I've flushed. Or it's sitting on my ETH wallet and there's so few of them, it's not even worth trying to swap them. You know what I mean? Like $30 worth of alpha or some garbage.
Yeah.
It's not worth the gas fees. Yeah.
Troll coin.
Yeah, I couldn't even sack him. I was like, oh, maybe I can just send him for the sack phase. And it's like, maybe they're not even on the list. It's like, wow, I really picked a winner on that one. Richard don't even want
I mean, speaking of gas fees, did you guys see what happened to the gas prices yesterday?
Never saw
crazy.
We 7,000.
I'm so lucky that literally happened. That started at 6 p.m. There was some related to the Bored Apes NFT thing. They had some launch of some metaverse digital real estate, some wacky thing that they had.
Other World or something.
Yeah. Other. I think the thing is called Other, and they
the Other
something how the contract was structured and the way that the minting was structured. It was like a race to get your transaction in, and it created this gas war scenario where people were bidding up the price of gas to try to prevent other people from getting their transactions in before they did. And so starting at 6 o'clock, the gas prices just went through the roof. There's some charts you can see, the gas.
I wonder how much that pinched you guys at the end though. Cause I mean, you guys were getting so close to 300 million. Did you hit 300?
Yeah.
Was
so I started while I was because when I was preparing for the stake to start, I had there's a tool that I found that lets you pretty much pre-authorize your transaction, and then it can automatically run your transaction at a set time. And so I was setting that up the night before, and at the time the gas was it was 30 GWay. But then when I was at about 4 o'clock yesterday, before I an hour before the stake was set to start, I was testing out my script, and the gas fees at that time were 140, and so it had already started going up at 4 o'clock, and then the price right around 5 o'clock, it actually settled. The one that MetaMask was suggesting was about 70 GWay. But on my transaction, I just manually set the gas price to 240, because I was like, because I really want that stake transaction just to go through instantly,
fast, super fast.
I mean, really for no reason, but other than just like wanting it
that's
just
not
to
the that's not the transaction you want to be hung up and you have to change the nonce. And
I know, literally, exactly, like, because I mean, I wouldn't even really know how to do that, so I was like, all right. And also, what I wanted to prevent was because you could mess up. Like I wasn't like really publicly like showing people how to start the stake, because if you messed up, you would pay gas and then nothing would happen. So I didn't want to like I wanted to get it done right instantly, and so I had that script running, and luckily the gas price didn't go even higher than what I pretty much like went 4x on what I saw the latest gas prices at, and so I'm lucky that it went through, and it actually got confirmed the 20 seconds after 0 UTC. So got through right away, and then hours later, not even like just an hour later, there was all that craziness with gas where it was like thousands of GWAY for a transaction, and that would have really impacted the minters.
You probably know this, Dip Catcher, but there was people eyeballing that right to the second, because we were in Hex Tokens chat right as the minting phase ticked down to 0, and we were all like, woo, like Happy New Year, kind of in there. And there was people in the chat like 3 seconds, 10 seconds after looking to see if the stake, checking all the links, to see if the stake had actually went, and okay, it's official. And I mean, they were on you, man. I wonder how many eyeballs were on that. Every click of your mouse, it was like 100 pairs of eyeballs on everything you did to make sure everything, it's pretty funny though.
Yeah, because I was live at that time. I was gonna try to go live earlier and do a whole countdown, but the gas prices were going up, and then I was like trying to make sure my script was gonna work still, and then there was so much web traffic on our Maximus.cash site that like I had this like other script set up that was like supposed to be like probing like for the gas prices and to help me kind of set that. But I was having delays and slowdowns on that, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, is this even going to trigger at the right time?" And so because there were so many people on the Maximus site refreshing that, because it's all hosted under the same thing, and so like some of the tools that I used were experiencing slowdowns. So I was like frantically trying to make sure that like everything was set up, ready to go. And then it was funny on the live stream. When I'm sitting there like refreshing, like watching to see it go through, everyone's commenting. They're like, "Why do you sound so surprised? Like as if this isn't gonna work." Like I know it's gonna work. We tested it numerous times.
Don't crash! Don't crash! Don't crash!
It was gonna work. Like I knew it was gonna work. I read the code literally every day, just about during the minting phase. I'm in there reading line by line. Like, did I miss anything? Because like if I had caught something, I could have let everyone know, like, redeem your funds before this end. That was, the main reason why we kept redemption window open was for people to test it, to like be confident that the redemption works. But also that provided like a 2-week buffer to where if we did identify some critical issue, that people could just withdraw their funds before the stake was able to start. And you could withdraw before the stake. So even though the minting phase ended right as the day ticked over, until that stake started was actually when you could redeem until. So like that, so even though like I was 100% confident it was going to work, I still just had that fear that some unexpected thing was just going to happen. So it was a huge,
if it's any consolation, it's kind of a sweet and sour message here, but because of your redeem function being there till the end, someone I know donated some Maximus to someone else for onboarding people, but they needed it to be liquid hex because that's what they use to get people onboarded and whatever. So they were able to, like, within just a couple hours of the whole show being down, the mint being over, able to go and redeem it. And it was a small amount, but it was still a donation. So had that not been available, they would be sitting there with Maximus, which they could probably later, I guess, swap or sell to get hex, but it just made it a lot easier for them to convert it back over. It was only a couple thousand or something. So it's not, I don't think it hurts your numbers.
And there was a lot of redeeming. The days we saw a lot of redemptions was when Hex.info announced their airdrop if you had stake open on that day. So I saw some people directly redeeming and then starting their own like 1 or 2 day stake. I haven't checked to see if they like reminted. And then there was some like redemption going on related to people that I figured were trading, where like if someone, bought or sold on Uniswap instead of minting, that would move the price up. And so they could then like, sell their maxi for that hex and then remint that. Or if the price was down, they could have, swapped their hex for more maxi than the hex was worth, and then redeem that and then take that hex and mint more. So there was some of that activity. And I'm working on like a full like analytics on the whole minting phase, but it came out to like there was like 300 million like 294 million hex deposits and something like 3 or 4 million redemptions. So it was like around 1% of the total that was redeemed. And but I haven't checked like how much that was redeemed and then like put in there, and then so that would change that number a little bit. But
here's a good question. I don't see that the maxi stake claimed its hand drawn bonus. Has it claimed its bonus yet?
So that will be tomorrow. So the Maximus contract only has the mint native function in Hedron. It doesn't have the claim native. Claim native you can run to lock in your bonus, and you can run that during the first day. So just like an hour ago, the stake moved from pending into first day status. So we could run claim native right now, but we didn't add claim native because mint native does what claim native does in terms of locking it in, and it mints it. So just to reduce having like an extra function in there, we just made it mint native. And so starting tomorrow, we can mint that first batch of maxi, and then that'll lock in our like 4x bonus.
Nice.
So yeah,
smart.
That's how it works.
Not have extra stuff in there that's not needed. So is that a 4x? The launch phase bonus is at a 4x right now?
Yeah, it's at the 4x, and then just the way that they like the way that it works, there's like an extra bonus, like an extra 1x in there. So it's like effectively a 5x
like
bonus,
a plus, like a plus
4x.
1. Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's awesome. That's awesome that you guys. Yeah, go ahead, Craig.
No, I was going to say, it'd be interesting to see. There's probably some folks out there that are going to really break the numbers down and probably watch the hex versus maxi price as maxi starts to pull away in value progressively with all the yield time and the hedron and all the extra goodies piled on top of it. And there's going to be people out there looking to snipe that every time it drops a little bit down or evens out when they're, Maximus is supposed to be worth more than hex at that point. And somebody maybe put some on the market, and there's going to be people gobbling. It's going to be kind of fun to watch that little horse race, for the next 15 years, literally, especially the further that Maximus horse pulls away from the hex horse,
So yeah, I'm excited to watch that too. And I'm what I'm really hoping for is that now this gives people a pair to trade that, like, when you're trading the hex USD pair, you can get really wrecked. Like if you sell hex in a pump and it just keeps pumping, like it could really never come back ever again, and like you're wrecked. But like if you're instead swing trading the Maximus hex one, maybe the volatility will be less because there's kind of like that center of gravity of the redemption rate. Like it has like an underlying like intrinsic value. But at the end of the day, if you're swapping between one or the other, it's like either one is still good to have. The maxi is earning at a higher rate than just the hex is. But like if you're swing trading that and you make you sell and then it keeps pumping, like it's not the worst thing, because at some point it's likely to kind of return back, because if the premium gets too high, then that invites new sellers. Those new sellers push the price back down. So like I think that it's like a better thing to trade than the hex USD pair. And so for people that like really need that, like they need to satisfy that trading itch, I'm hoping that maxi can be a good thing for that, because the more trading there is, the more liquidity there is, and like that'll invite liquidity. And that's the main value proposition of Maximus, is that liquidity of the, like the staked hex. And so the more trading activity there is, the more the better that the value proposition of Maximus is. And so that's what I'm really hoping, that we bring a lot of the trading from the Hex USD pair into this market.
Yeah. And even the worst case scenario, everyone's like, you know what, fuck Maxi, we're dumping everything, and you get stuck with a bunch of Maxi. Well, you just have a 15-year stake. You just have to wait 15 years, just like you would with the stake. And so you'll get some Hex and Hedron at the very end. So that part's pretty cool about it too.
If that happens, I'll be getting a lot of Hex and Hedron at the very end, because I'll be buying that shit up.
Yeah. I mean, but I was expecting there to actually be like, I thought there would be like at least one like much larger. The largest minter was 10 million Hex. I was, and so that person has some, what is that, like 3 or 4% of the total. And so there's really no one that has like a dominant position in Maxi that could like really drive a discount for a long time. And so
that's really good.
I was hoping there would be a large player that would then like nuke the price one day, because then that just kind of like gives whole new class of users an opportunity to get discounted Maxi, which is really just getting like double discounted Hex pretty much. And so I was kind of hoping there would be just like some like mega whale in Maxi, but I mean there it is pretty, like if you look at that token holders chart, and the largest has like 3%, and it's just like such like a beautiful like gradual like distribution, because there's like 5,500 people and then like almost 300 million coins. So it's the distribution is really healthy, I think. So there's really not one user that can like, I mean, there are users whose Maxi is greater than what's in the liquidity pool right now, but that there's serious risk to just like dumping it all, like because you're just like giving your money away, like in other things where like there's not because like most other coins don't have some like redemption value, like there's not like that intrinsic value in there, like you sell your coin at a big loss, it's just kind of whatever, he's moving on to something else, but with it's like there is that thing there that you're selling, and you're selling that at a discount, and so it's somebody worse consequence to doing so.
Could somebody get wrecked if there was a Hex Maxi liquidity pair? If there was enough liquidity for that, couldn't somebody get wrecked pretty hard if Hex pumped like really fast and you ended up with more Maxi? Wait, no.
So that would be the Maxi price dumping. So it would provide, like if no one was in there to like to buy that discount, like say the price moves in any one direction, like say the Maxi price relative to that, like so a big Maxi holder is just dumping, and then so during the dump down, the liquidity providers are losing, but if it ever returns back to where it was, and it kind of like retraces that loss, then they like it's like they lost, they ended up with more, what would that be, more Maxi on the way down, but then gain more Hex on the way up, so then it would kind of even out. But if it like permanently like in one direction went, then there could be more impermanent loss there. But then also where I do see there being impermanent loss just is on like because the Maxi is from now on it's a fixed supply, and it's always gaining more Hex. And if the price on the chart matches the just that growing treasury value, then there is some impermanent loss there. But because it's like kind of predictable, like all the liquidity providers know that the Maxi is going to be earning more, then in addition to just kind of like their double-sided liquidity providing, maybe that means that they're also in addition to doing that, they're expecting they're going to experience some amount of impermanent loss just as the Maxi gains more Hex. They're just going to hold more Maxi outside the liquidity pool to kind of make up for what they may be losing on that way up. And so the liquidity providers just have to kind of plan around that. But because it's generally known, and that T-shirt, that daily payout per T-shirt value it's very hard to change that. Like Maximus stake had an impact, but that thing is a very slow moving number. And so you can make reasonable predictions on what that's going to be, in the next year, in the next 2 years. As it gets longer, it's harder to accurately predict that. But you can reasonably predict that maxi earnings for any period of time, like in the short to midterm. And so people who are liquidity providers can use that to help them manage their liquidity position in addition to like their like the other maxi or hex that they may be holding. And so, there is some strategy there that liquidity providers will have to deal with, but because it's more predictable than, other things, like it's hard to predict when there's just going to be like a crazy hex bull market against the ETH pair, so it's like hard to plan around that impermanent loss. But since you can roughly count on there being like 32% more hex in the treasury per year, then it does make that a little bit easier to mitigate that impermanent loss risk.
I think it's kind of crazy. To say, but it's like, I think I'd be more excited about Maxi going to 3 cents than Hex going to 3 cents. Like, just because the ability to pick it up would be so insane. I mean, the Maxi at 3 cents, it just literally, like, that makes me more excited. Hex at 3 cents. I never thought I'd say that about another, Hex product, even a derivative product, but it just makes sense. It's just logical.
Well, because
Hex, if you're buying Maxi at 3 cents, that means you're buying, and if we say the Maxi treasury grows. I think the estimate that I in my estimates, I usually always stick to current daily payout, per T share, just averaging out. And that would put the end result at like 5 hex per Maxi. And so like, if you're buying, especially like right now, like if tomorrow you could buy 3 cent Maxi, it's like, what would that be? And the price is like 15 cents now. So like, you're already getting that 20% or 5x extra out there times the 5x that's set to earn. You're getting like
a huge discount. Huge discount.
X is what you're buying.
Selfishly, I pray for that just a little bit. Selfishly,
I mean, you and everyone else.
From looking at
goes to bed at night.
Yeah. Well, from what Dipcatcher was saying about the token distribution, that may not be a huge probability on that. There's not like just one person who can just nuke the price. It's going to take like some major black swan event. It looks like, for some reason, for people to lose confidence in the coin. But what's also cool is that, these Maxi tokens are like forever encapsulating today or yesterday's T-share rate. So whenever you're buying the Maxi token, you're buying the T-share rate from yesterday, which in the future is going to be, a huge advantage, because it's going to be really hard, more so than just liquidating Hadron stakes or buying HSI stakes off the market. Now you have the ability to go back in time and get past T-share rates in the form of an ERC20, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah, you get the benefit of the age, like you get the better T-share rate, but you also get the certainty of all the hex that it had earned up until you bought it. So it's like you're buying into a 15-year stake, but say you're like 5 years in, it's like you're staking for 10 years, but you're at the 15. I mean, even though 10 to 15 is like a close, because the longer pays better cuts off at 10 years, so like, but you're still locked into that earlier T-share rate, and you have the certainty of what it's earned so far. And so like the earnings per hex stake is going to be greater than if you had staked that same amount today, because you have that older T-share rate. And so, that but then again, on the other hand, it's like maybe those are the things that just are baked into the price. And so even though you're buying the aged shares, you're paying a higher price, and so it
evens out.
The T-share price you're paying is so it kind of maybe will even out amongst that. But it does make Maxi a strong thing to buy really at any time, because you're it's like, say in 7 years from now you buy Maxi, maybe there's just like a big Maxi bear market, and people are willing to part with their Maxi, maybe because the hex just went up so much that people are willing to sell their Maxi at any price because they're just like whatever. And so maybe you can get a good deal on Maxi in 7 years, and then that's just like an alternative to staking on your own for 7 years. And you get the benefits of being in that larger stake, and the gas savings, that's big. And so
those numbers were pretty cool. I saw the gas saving numbers. Those are pretty cool. There's a huge Huge numbers.
Yeah, that's big. That kind of goes. A lot of people really latched onto the bigger pays better bonus, but which was actually very insignificant. It actually only it's kind of quoted as 10% bonus, but it's really just like a 3% bonus because the like that 10% extra you get. It's like your T-share or your hex is getting 10% more T-shares per hex, but at the same time, your max blank stake is getting you 200%. So that extra 10% relative to like the 200% extra that you're getting just from longer pays better, it makes the bonus from bigger pays better pretty insignificant as a whole. So but the gas savings, that's the big deal because we had 5,300 people in there. Say we had 5,300 max length stakes, and if you look at hexnoob.com, they have an end stake gas calculator, and you can kind of plug in different gas costs. And but when you see how much the gas is for a max length stake, you're like, and then thinking 5,000 people all paying that same gas fee, like that's tens of millions of dollars that was going to be going to Ethereum miners that now we're getting to keep in hex. And so that's a big deal. The gas is that's a big, even a pulse chain don't matter.
Honestly, even I kind of slept on the whole gas saving aspect of the contract. It wasn't what excited me. But then I saw those numbers and I was like, oh, that's not insignificant. That's like a really huge benefit. Here's a question from Kevin. Will Maxi holders get the share of all airdrops to hex stakers on redemption? From my understanding, that is no. Pretty much it foregoed any future airdrops to T-shirt holders. Am I correct on that?
We were able to squeeze in the Hedron one because they launched before our audit was complete. Or I mean, it was before we even got it audited. So we hadn't like finalized the contract code by the time Hedron was live. So that's why we were able to include Hedron. But I'd looked into ways how to enable like open-ended airdrop claiming, and on that, kind of all roads led to admin key. And admin key in like to our like audience, that's like a big no. And so so we had to sacrifice the ability to accept unknown airdrops that could potentially happen that go only to hex stakers. We had to sacrifice. We're not getting those. But what I remind people is, don't think about the airdrops you miss because you won't be able to claim them with your maxi. Think about the airdrops that only a maxi holder is going to get. And so, there could be some unique opportunities for those people there. So, it's all a trade-off, because, it's like you don't get to claim your random airdrops, but, our airdrop we're giving all the people in maxi is that you don't have to pay the end state gas fee.
Right. Keep your ETH.
Yeah, literally.
I think that was the right trade-off. I think that was the right trade-off. There's no need to add any extra risk for things that potentially might happen in the future. Maximus is what it is, and its value proposition can stand on its own without having to add anything else other community members might give.
Yeah, and if airdrops happen, and Maxi's eligible but can't get it, then that's just our gift to everyone else. Like, we're not going to be in there competing with you as a seller. Like, that's our gift to you guys. So. That's kind of what I feel about that.
Well, guys, we are coming up on an hour, so I think I'll go ahead and cut things off here. I really appreciate your guys' time. There's a lot of great information. Dip Catcher, Craig, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
It's good hanging out.
Show your stuff out so people can find you.
Oh, sure. Craig Wadding, all one word on Twitter, and I will drop my YouTube link in the chat if you want me to, or can I? Will it work?
Try it. If not, I'll drop it.
It's Gen Hex. I mean, I'll just drop it in the private chat, and then you can, if you want to forward it. We talked to Gold Key on our channel before everything started, and I think Dipcatcher, you were busy under the hood doing stuff, so it's nice to finally get to hang out with you a little bit, man. Appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I definitely watched your video with Gold Key. That was all. Thanks for having him on.
Yeah. And all I want to know is how much Maximus do we need to sell to get Gold Key a bigger key to hang on the wall behind him.
Yeah, maybe you did that. Maybe
That
that'll
tiny
be
little thing. It looks like a bug on his wall, right?
Yeah, I think his half birthday is coming up or something. So maybe I'll I'll get him something.
Stan needs a bigger key. Either that or he needs to change his name to Tiny Key or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well,
Whenever people ask him about where his name Gold Key came from, I always try to it's a lie. It's not real, but I'm always like, oh, it was originally gold cheese, but it didn't roll off the tongue as well.
Oh man.
Yeah. Did you recently get married?
I'm getting married soon.
Oh, congratulations, man!
Very soon,
Congratulations.
yeah. Thank you.
That's awesome.
Thanks. Yeah.
But yeah, Dipcatcher, go ahead. Share your stuff.
Yeah. So thanks for having me on. So on Twitter, Tanto Nomini, all one word. Just search Dipcatcher. You also find me there. Dipcatcher on YouTube, and t.me/Maximus Dao, twitter.com/Maximus_Dao. Keep up with the Maximus treasury value at maximus.cash. You'll see a dashboard in there. But yeah, thank you so much for having me on.
Of course. Thank you both again. And everybody watching, as always, I appreciate you spending your Sunday night with me. I appreciate your time and attention. I look forward to seeing all of you again in a future stream. Take care and be well. Bye, everybody.
All right, bye.